Confidentiality in the back. Well done. Good morning, everyone. It's 8:43. Welcome back to Great Day Live in Des Moines as we welcome a good friend of ours, Mike Jankins, to the studio once again. Time to talk a little bankruptcy. And how about this? How about, Mike, if we discuss some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to discussing things with a bankruptcy attorney?
Okay. Well, I think that we're kind of staying in line with my last presentation with the lists. That seemed to work out pretty well. So
lists are good.
So this time we're going to talk about what you should do when you see your lawyer and working with your bankruptcy lawyer and the things you should not do. And so first on the list, when you come to see me at least, probably the same thing with other bankruptcy lawyers. Come prepared to your appointment. You're coming to talk about bankruptcy and whether or not you should do it, and that involves knowing a little bit about who you owe money to and maybe how much money you earn at your job.
You sound a little annoyed right now.
No,
I can only imagine, huh?
No, is there something, if somebody's going to come see you, will you send them a checklist? Like, you need to give me, you let me know how much you make, who you owe money to. Do you have a checklist for these people?
Well, we actually ask them when they schedule the appointment to just simply bring two things. One, read a list of who you think you owe money to, at least the big ones, and two, bring your last couple paycheck stubs from work so we can figure out how much money you make and how bad this debt situation is.
That sounds fairly simple.
It's pretty easy.
You'd think so.
But how often do people not do that?
Well, unfortunately, way too often. And it's even when people call us on the phone to find out, we're trying to find out, should we file bankruptcy? Is this the right thing to do? And so I'll ask, well, how much debt do you have and what kind of debt? I don't really know. So I understand they haven't been through this before, but they understand that bankruptcy gets rid of debt, and so it'd be a good idea to at least know what the debt is. And so most people come somewhat prepared to the appointment because we do ask them to bring these things, and some people just don't have them.
Do you have a barometer? Okay, if you owe this much but you make this much, do you have a sense of, okay, you're a good candidate, or is each case different?
Each case is different, but it's also more of a professional instinct of doing this for 30 years, so I kind of just know by talking to people for a few minutes and just understanding how much debt they've got, what kind of debt it is, how much money they make. Just with that alone, I can pretty much, I would say in about 80% of the cases, know what they're going to be looking at. Each case is a case-by-case situation for sure.
So you'd be able to tell them, say, yeah, this is the best route that you need to go. We need to pursue this, but you would also tell them, say, you know what, you probably don't need to do this.
Yeah, I can usually give that recommendation just by asking a few things on the phone. Now, again, we have an hour appointment, so I mean those questions give me at least a really good indication. But again, that's with 30 years of experience and thousands of cases, and probably twice as many people that I've met that didn't file. So it's a lot of financial situations we've dealt with, and so we have a good feel for that.
All right, let's keep going down the list here. We have a bunch here.
So number two is if I ask you to provide me certain information in the preparation of the case, because we sort of got a packet of worksheets that we've prepared over the years that we deem critical to know certain information. We're not asking it to be nosy. We're not asking it to make your life difficult. We're asking it to protect you. We need to know the stuff you own. We need to know who you owe money to, because that's what this bankruptcy is all about. And if we're going to protect all of your property, all of your assets, so that the bankruptcy court doesn't try selling them, we need to know what they are, because we can't help you unless we know what they are, how much they're worth, and then we can make plans on those types of things. But if you don't give us that information, it's hard for us to help you. So if we're asking for it, it's important for us to serve you in the best possible way, and it's not, it can be cumbersome sometimes, but that's just part of the process. There was a lot of work, both for my client to provide me things and for me to do the work.
Well, there's a trust and there's a confidentiality. Maybe people aren't necessarily excited about opening up those details, but to you they absolutely can, and they have to.
Well, and quite honestly, most of the things that they have to provide to me, this is information that they have to provide to the court. There isn't really a big confidentiality when you're going into bankruptcy, because to entitle you to the large benefit of erasing your debt, the price to pay is you have to pretty much make an open book about your financial situation.
So people know what you have. Okay.
So it's not so private.
Next on the list.
if you're not sure about whether or not you should do something, call me before you decide to do it. It's a good idea to make sure that I kind of give a blessing on something you're going to do, as opposed to you going and doing it and then calling me and say, hey, Mike, we just did this. Is that going to be okay? Because if it wasn't okay, I can't really undo the damage.
Right.
So just check with me first.
Speaking of phone calls.
Speaking of phone calls, I don't mind taking telephone calls. I don't count them, but really we'd like you to try to limit your telephone calls. If you've got an important question, I don't want you to have to stew about it all night and not sleep. But on the other hand, try to save up your questions. So if you've got 2 or 3 of them, I can take care of them all in one phone call. But don't call several times throughout the day and several more times throughout the week. I'm really busy. I get lots of phone calls. I try to return all my clients' calls the same day, and it makes it difficult the more calls we get. And the same is true with my secretary. She's very busy working on cases, so she really would prefer not to have so many calls, but we really are willing to answer them, and we always do. So try to limit the calls.
But for someone who's thinking about calling as a new customer and someone needs your help, you definitely don't want people to feel discouraged that you want to take those calls.
No, actually, I'm the one, if anybody calls to ask questions about bankruptcy, they will get me on the telephone if I'm available. I will speak to every single person that calls wanting to know any questions before they set their appointment. If they want to know what the fee might be, if they have a question they need to ask before they schedule the appointment, you will always talk to me. So we're kind of proud about doing that, because a lot of attorneys won't get on the phone.
Gotcha.
And the last on the do's is, once we earn your bankruptcy, if the bankruptcy trustee, who's the gentleman that runs the case, asks for information to be sent to him, it's even more important than when I'm asking, because the trustee is one level below the judge of the case, and if you don't cooperate with the trustee, you could see your case being thrown out. So it's very important to cooperate with anything the trustee asks for. So those are all the big do's. Now some of the don'ts.
Yeah, the don'ts are pretty simple. You can probably just page through these, because these are the ones we've already discussed here a little bit.
Yeah, don't call me to schedule a free bankruptcy consultation and then not show up or cancel because you got cold feet. And the reason I say that is, nothing bad has ever happened to anybody that came to see me for a free bankruptcy consultation to simply get information, to get recommendations and go over options about what we can do for you. It costs you nothing but your time, and all you gain is information that you didn't have before. So just because you come to see me doesn't mean you're committed to having to do anything, and it doesn't mean you filed. So
there
just
you go. All right.
Don't hide information from the court, and don't hide information from me, because attorneys don't like surprises, nor do the judges. If you come up with some surprises that we weren't aware of, you could lose your bankruptcy for not disclosing certain information, and worst case scenario, you could be prosecuted for a bankruptcy crime for not disclosing pertinent information about your assets or debts. A big one that I want to make sure I get in here is, don't discuss your bankruptcy situation with everybody, because they may not know the things that I do. So check with me before you get worried about what your friends and relatives are telling you.
Gotcha.
There you go. And
Excellent.
significant financial decisions, make sure you check with Mike if you're dealing with him as well. Here's where you find Mike and the whole gang. Info at iowabankruptcylaw.com, and get a hold of him on the phone too. You can chat with him a little bit. 255-1855 is his number. Well done, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Take it easy. Have a great one.